name is Steve Zwalumo. I am here to tell you that there is a serious Christian genocide happening in Nigeria, and I have the evidence to back it up. Do you know where I got this evidence from? Because I am a victim myself. I suffered this genocide. I survived it. I spent the last 20 years of my life digging into this. So if there's anybody out there saying there is no Christian genocide happening in Nigeria, I am a victim. And I'm here to give you the evidence. I spent the last 20 years of my life digging into this, collecting evidence. I am here with the full evidence, the names, who is their leader, why they are killing Christians, when they started killing Christians, where exactly they are killing Christians. But first of all, let me make this clear. I am not saying, or we are not saying, that the over 100 million Muslims in Nigeria are killing Christians. No, that is not the point. Out of the over 100 million Muslims in Nigeria, less than 10% of this group is called the Fulani herdsmen. Now, this is not hatred against the Fulani tribe. I used to drink nono from the Fulani with the stick and kettle, but the Fulanis we have now is the ones with AK-47. That does not mean all Fulanis are terrorists. But here's what I am saying. There is a group, there is an extremist Fulani group that is out there to carry out the agenda of Usman Danfodio. Most of you know about the Christian genocide, or a lot of people are talking about it, but you don't know where this is happening in Nigeria, right? So I am here to show you that. Let us look at the map of Nigeria. This is the map they show you. They broke Nigeria into 6 regions just to confuse you. Now, this is the original map of Nigeria. Many of you just think we have north and south. No, Nigeria was never just north and south. The biggest region in Nigeria is called the Middle Belt, the central region of Nigeria. That is the largest part of Nigeria, and this is where these killings, this Christian genocide is happening. Let's focus on who is killing Christians in Nigeria. Who is killing Christians in Nigeria? Let's go back to the history of Nigeria. A lot of you don't know the history of Nigeria, but there is a criminal organization called the Fulani herdsmen. This guy came to Nigeria. I'm not speaking out of hatred. I'm not speaking out of hatred. There is a tribe called the Fulani tribe. They have millions of people all over Africa, all over West Africa. Now, among the tribe, there is an extremist group that survived on the idea of jihad. This is how the extremist group is able to expand and grow. They depend on jihad to take up people's land. So, a good percentage of the Fulani tribe might not be with the killing, but there is an extremist group among the Fulanis. And unfortunately, the painful truth is that this extremist group among the Fulanis are unfortunately the leaders of Islam in Nigeria. These terrorists are the leaders of the political arena in northern Nigeria. How did these guys manage to get so much power in Nigeria? Through a well-known and documented terrorist called Usman Danfodio. This is nothing against my Muslim brothers. I have a Muslim family. But you need to understand that the Islam we have in Nigeria now is not the original Islam that was there. The Hausas, they were already Muslims until the Fulani came, the extremist group led by a terrorist known as Usman Danfodio. Usman Dan Fodio went around Hausa states convincing the Hausa youth that their society was corrupt and the Islam they were practicing was not pure. So Usman Dan Fodio presented an idea of a purer form of Islam, and the gullible Hausa youth followed Usman. Usman led the Hausa and Fulani to kill the Hausa leaders. After killing all Hausa leaders, the Fulani now assume leadership, not just of the Hausa society, but of the entire Islam in Nigeria. Now, the highest order of Islam in Nigeria starts from the Sultan of Sokoto, is Fulani, down to the last, the smallest emir, they are all Fulani. Now, look at the political landscape. Look at the governors of all northern states. They are all Fulanis. Now, we are talking about a population out of almost 300 million people. You are talking about a population of 12 million who is directly and indirectly controlling the country. So ask yourself this sincere question: how did they become that powerful in Nigeria? And the answer is very simple: by carrying out a jihad. This jihad, a lot of you, many people think that the jihad ended in 1800. No, the jihad took a different form. The jihad took a different form, supported by many entities. So, make a list of top 107 and retired military generals in Nigeria who are still alive. You will discover that even though Nigeria have a population of almost 300 million people, the Fulani alone will make up at least 50% of that list. Do you know why? Jihad. They consciously kill others to make sure that they remain there. They place themselves there. Look at, if you people want a more clear evidence, look at the book published by Ibrahim Babangida. He confessed all of this. Look at Buhari, his wife came out to ask for forgiveness because they all carried out the Fulani agenda. You have Sani Abacha. These are the guys that led the movement and who supported this jihad in the first place. The British government. Now, let me take you back to central Nigeria. You see, the area called the Middle Belt, they forcefully called it North Central for a reason, because they agreed. And this is why the jihad is happening. This is why the Fulani feel that it is their right to take up central Nigeria, because it was promised to them by the British, and that was how they were able to put Nigeria together against the will of the people in central Nigeria. They told you that they brought northern and southern Nigeria together and amalgamated it in 1914 to form Nigeria. Well, I am here to tell you that as much as that is correct, there's one detail missing. The central part was never touched, not by the Europeans and not by the jihadists. Do you know why you have more than 200 tribes in central Nigeria alone, in this region called the Middle Belt? Because these tribes came together and fought against slavery. So none of them were taken into slavery. And at the same time, they collectively fought against jihad. So the Fulanis were able to take the Hausa states in the north, but when they wanted to cross central, the Middle Belt, that is where Usman ended. Yes, in history they have it that he retired to the Sokoto Caliphate that he established and died happily or whatever. In the oral tradition of the Igalas, the Igede, the Idoma, the Tiv, the Nupe, the Tulo, is that they ended jihad in Nigeria, in central Nigeria, and that is where Usman died. He never made it home. So the Fulanis want to continue with that jihad. The British supported them. But in these 21st centuries, they have a different set of sponsors and leaders. Now, who are the leaders of the terrorist organization in Nigeria today? I am here to tell you from the evidence I have gathered for the last 20 years that the leaders of terrorism in Nigeria, the leaders of this crime organization, are the Nigerian army. Yes, these generals, I told you earlier to make a list of the top 100 generals serving or retired, and you will discover that half of them are Fulanis. These are the guys carrying out the operation. Now, let me back this up with clear evidence. You see, in the security field, in the army, whatever, they use order. They give order and people take order. There are people who give orders and there are people who take orders. For instance, you see Yerima, that's a small boy. He was giving an order. And guess what he did? He protected a piece of land against the almighty wicked. If you don't know wicked, go and ask Fabura. Now, Yerima was giving an order to protect that land, and he carried out the order gallantly. Ask yourself, why was Yerima not giving the order to go to Yelewata? Why? His bosses kept him busy in Abuja protecting a piece of land from a politician. But his boss kept him busy. Why? Because Yerima would have been at Yelewata if he was not busy in Abuja. Now, this is why I am telling you that Nigerian army are the leaders of terrorism. I have seen them. I'm telling you, I am not scared of anybody because I feel like I'm already dead. I died since I was 8 years old. And I saw, for many of you, you were surprised about the 200 bodies in Yelewata in one day. Yeah, I have seen more than 2,000 people. Yeah, I saw more than 2,000 people just in 1 week. So I am dead. I'm only living to expose this. And I'm here to tell you that anywhere you see the headsmen attack, they are accompanied by the Nigerian army. And if any officer defies the order to stand down, the officer will not make it out. Let me give you clear evidence. Yelewata, where 200 people were killed and burned alive. Just to make it clear, it took the headsmen 10 hours to carry out this operation. And guess what? Even bloody civilians like us were aware of this operation when it started, because the internet was already flooded with all the evidence, all the details. The people in these communities were calling for help actively. That means the military, the army, was aware. Now, if they were not aware, first of all, that means they are useless. Yes, if an operation is happening in Yelewata, which is less than 30 minutes away from Makurdi. Now, Makurdi has an Air Force base. One of the largest Air Force base in Nigeria is in Makurdi, 30 minutes away from Yelewata. Yet, the terrorists had over 10 hours to kill, butcher, burn human beings alive without these guys responding. That is just the Air Force. There is how many army barracks in Makurdi alone? Up to 2, 3. There's a police barrack. So if these guys did not respond to the killings in Yelewata, that's to tell you that they were responsible for it. They backed up the Fulanis. Now, one other evidence, when that Yelewata killings happened, some of you, let's say, maybe the Nigerian defense, the Nigerian intelligence, whatever, is so unintelligent. But some of us are not that unintelligent. I have been on the field for the last 20 years, and let me tell you, the killers in Yelewata came from Nasarawa State with the Nigerian army backing them up. After the killings, they retracted to Nasarawa State, backed by the Nigerian army. So you can't even go at them. In Zakide, and I witnessed it myself, when you see the killings happening, the people cannot respond to the headsmen. That is why you are not seeing in the news that they are being killed, because they are well protected. It's not that these guys are not prepared for them. These guys are prepared for them. We are prepared for them. But when you rise up against them, the Nigerian army will come at you. If you hear that the Nigerian army is arresting bandits in BENUE, they are not bandits. These are the people fighting these terrorists. So I am here to tell you for free that the Nigerian army has been compromised by these terrorists, and they are targeting the Christians who stopped the jihad. Central Nigeria is predominantly Christian. These guys stopped jihad. These guys in central Nigeria stopped these guys from proceeding to capture the east. Yes, the Yorubas maintain the original form of Islam in Nigeria. You can see that the Yorubas are peaceful, even though a good population of them are Muslim. Those are peaceful Muslims. The Hausas are peaceful Muslims. Now, when you look at the Muslim population in Nigeria, 90% of them are not terrorists. That is what we are saying. A small percent, which unfortunately comes from the Fulani, are terrorists. Now, who are the sponsors? Who are the sponsors of this jihad against Christians? You'll be surprised. You see, Donald Trump is going up and down, attacking Nigeria, which some of us support the movement, because finally we are having a global discussion about the killings in Nigeria. But this is one detail. The sponsors of this Christian genocide in Nigeria are coming from the United States of America, the USA, and I am going to quote two of the biggest Americans. If you don't know, Elon Musk was made the head of DOGE department to cut government funding, and Elon Musk said that US aid was used to fund terrorism. Yes. Another person, Scott Perry, a US congressman, Scott Perry. If you guys don't know who is Scott Perry, this guy is one of the biggest boys in an American defense system. He retired and he's now a congressman. And this guy came out to say that America was sponsoring terrorism through USA. Yes, that is correct. A lot of you don't know how this works, but these NGOs like USAID and most of these NGOs and international organizations, they use these non-government organizations, they pump money into it, and then use these organizations to carry out these terrorist activities. It is a very complex and a very delicate operations where you have the money flowing in through the non-government organizations, the workers being paid through the NGO, and the minerals being taken out. Now, the majority of the sponsors of this terrorism, this Christian genocide in Nigeria, are the resources mafia. I will quote the richest black man alive, Aliko Dangote. He said that the cartel in oil is way, way, way bigger than the cartel in drugs. So the mineral mafia, these guys are 50 times bigger than any mafia you know. These are the guys sponsoring terrorism. And they use non-government organizations like USA to move in the weapons to supply, to train the terrorists. And they also use these same NGOs to move out the minerals. Some of the terrorists are now used as the illegal miners. So this is a very big industry. Donald Trump is coming in to make America great again because possibly he received the documents like I sent to every other world leaders. Yes, this information I am putting out here, I am not just making this video. I put out this information in form of a book on the 31st of January 2025. I released a book titled The Battle of Karagwe. Now, this book carries all the information, all the names, all the maps, all the locations, who, when, and what. The role of the politicians. Many of you don't know. A lot of people are blaming the politicians. Yes, they are our leaders, right? Tinubu is the president. Alia is the governor of BENUE State. And these guys are supposed to work, right? Now, let me tell you what you don't know. No disrespect, but our politicians are powerless. No disrespect to the presidency of Nigeria, but the president of Nigeria is nobody when you are talking about terrorists in Nigeria. Why? Because the terrorists are bigger than him. The terrorists are these army generals. The terrorists are army generals who are supposed to carry out the order of the president. So if Tinubu give them the order to stop terrorism, they will not. Tinubu cannot order them. He cannot. Look at an incident that just happened. Look at how a small boy was sent to protect the land from Wiki. These guys, these politicians you have here, the only role they can play is sign documents. They are under the influence, under the control of these international crime organizations. These resources mafia control the politicians. Now, the security agencies like the army, the generals, they are carrying out these operations on behalf of the mafia. So the politicians can only call on the army. Tinubu can only call on the Nigerian army. Tinubu can only order them, but they will not carry out the order. And if any army general is trying to carry out the order, the Nigerian army will give the general out. Can't you see how they give up the last general? Yes, they can lie to you, but nobody can lie to me. I have seen you guys do it. He wasn't captured by the terrorists. He was given up because he saw them. He saw a lot. And he tried to play a role. He tried to stop it. And that is why they gave him up. He escaped them. Called the Nigerian army. And guess what the army did? Gave up his location. And that is how he was taken. Forget the lies. Me, I don't fear anybody's face. So let's face the truth. We can only move forward when we begin to tell ourselves the truth. That is the plain truth. If we want to tackle this jihad, this Christian genocide in Nigeria, we need to hold our army responsible. We need to hold these military generals, retired and serving, responsible. Nothing will move in Nigeria without these guys. Nothing. Listen, these army generals own the illegal mines. They are contracted in most of those governments. Go and check. And now, these guys are responsible, but who can go after them? Nobody. A quick summary. This Christian genocide in Nigeria is being sponsored by international crime organizations who are pumping money into the terrorist organization known as the Fulani Herdsmen. Now, this terrorist organization is being led by the Nigerian army. The terrorist organization succeeded in compromising the Nigerian army, so they used the Nigerian army to carry out these deadly operations. On the other hand, the NGOs are playing another role by taking out the illegally mined minerals and also circulate weapons, and at the same time train the terrorists. This is how the Christian genocide in Nigeria is being carried out, in summary.